Welcome to Judicial Dollars and Cents, brought to you by Anders Virtual CFO Services team from all across the United States. I'm John Scott, and in each episode, we'll shine a light on the financial side of the legal world, turning law firm numbers into impact-driven stories. From taxes and profitability to practice growth and leadership, we sit down with law firm innovators who are shaping the future of the profession. Let's dive in, right here on Judicial Dollars and Cents. Hey, and welcome back to Judicial Dollars and Cents, where the business of law meets the practice of law. I'm John Scott with Anders Virtual CFO Services for law firms, and each week we sit down with successful attorneys, legal innovators, and business leaders who want to explore what it really takes to build a thriving law firm. We go beyond the courtroom to discuss leadership, profitability, operations, marketing, technology, AI, and the strategies that help firms grow, scale, and create lasting value. Whether you're a managing partner, an emerging firm leader, or simply passionate about the future of the legal profession, our goal is to provide practical legal insights you can put to work immediately. Today, we are honored to welcome Robert Guest. Robert is the founding partner of Guest & Gray Law, one of the largest and most highly reviewed law firms serving Kaufman County and the surrounding areas of Dallas. The firm has grown from a criminal defense practice into a full-service law firm offering criminal defense, family law, personal injury, estate planning, probate, civil litigation, and business law. Robert leads the firm's criminal defense division and brings more than 2 decades of legal experience into the courtroom. Before entering private practice, he served as a public defender, assistant district attorney, and later as chief misdemeanor prosecutor in Kaufman County. This unique perspective, having prosecuted cases before defending them, gives him a comprehensive understanding of how criminal cases are investigated, charged, and negotiated and tried. Beyond his courtroom practice, Robert has been an active leader within the Texas legal community, serving on the State Bar of Texas Board of Directors in numerous local and state bar leadership positions. Throughout his career, he's built a reputation for combining strategic advocacy with honest communication, believing that clients deserve not only exceptional legal representation, but clarity and confidence during some of the most stressful moments of their lives. Robert, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Hey, longtime listeners know that I love a good origin story. So tell me how you got from law school to starting your own firm and being a criminal defense attorney.
All right. No one asks about coming out of law school. So I went to Texas Tech in Lubbock.
We're going to talk more about Texas Tech later.
Really enjoyed it. Lubbock's not for some people, but I liked it. I was coming from Arlington, and I liked the drier weather. It got a little colder, and it was cheap. It didn't cost anything to live there, so that was fun. And I got a really good education at Tech, so nothing but good things to say about their law school. But I figured out early on that most of my classes were just not going to be something that inspired me to want to do that for 30 or 40 years. And I really enjoyed the criminal defense, or in stuff like in con law, you'd have some criminal cases, and then you could take Texas Crim Pro and stuff like that. And so I just enjoyed it. I found myself kind of rooting for the defendant a lot because it's just the little guy versus like the United States government or like, the local government. And so I just naturally root for the underdog. And so I knew I wanted to do criminal defense. Now, there's nothing more useless than like a newly licensed attorney because all we're good at is passing the bar and like writing memos. So we could do legal research, but like to take what's in the Texas criminal procedure, laws and turn that into a result in a courtroom, that's where like the magic's at. That's what you have to learn. And so I was lucky enough to get on with the Wichita Falls public defender because there were very few public defender's office in Texas, like very few. So I was there and I was doing some defense, and the county commissioners go, we can't afford this public defender's office. And they like defunded it for the next year. And I was like, what? I just got here. I have a lease. And so I told them I had to go get another gig, right? And they ended up reversing that, by the way. They're still there. So I go to Bowie County, which is Texarkana. Had a really good time out there. I was the only misdemeanor prosecutor and handled like 2,000 cases a year. And so I learned efficiency. I remember my first trial docket, there was just a bucket of files. and I was looking, my boss was there, the DA, and I was like, what am I supposed to do? I don't know anything about these cases. I just got here. He goes, oh, I'll tell you. When they're picking the jury, read the police reports. Then you'll know what to do. And I'm like, okay. So the defense is asking jury questions, and I'm like, so we've got pulled over for this. We found some drugs. Okay, like here we go. We're gonna do it. And so I won. I was like, all right, I guess that's how it goes. And so life brought me back closer to Dallas, which Kaufman County is directly east of Dallas, and they had about 2,000 cases a year in the misdemeanor section, and we had like four attorneys. I'm going, what's going on, man? And they just had these most convoluted. It was like a factory making a Model T. It's like everyone does one thing and no one does anything else. Like that's not my job was like the biggest deal, or that's not how we've always done it. And so I tell my boss, like, here's how we used to do it, and I would have these cases plowed through pretty fast. I don't know what y'all are doing this for. And he was a real estate lawyer who just happened to get elected DA, so he had like no idea what's going on. So I got promoted to chief of the misdemeanor section in like 3 weeks. Well, the people who had been there longer hated that. They were like,
I'm
who's
sure.
this guy?
Yeah.
And then the staff I'm asking to change what they're doing hated it. And so it was just not a good fit. And I ended up getting fired. And I have never been fired from anything. And I was a little naive about maybe office politics. And I thought the work will speak for itself. I'm getting all these cases moved. But I should have been a little more sophisticated about what really matters. But it was good because I interviewed for some more DA jobs and I thought, do I really want another boss? Do I really want someone else to go answer to? And I thought, hell no. So I walked across the street, rented a space from the Kaufman Courthouse, got some business cards. This is 2006. Went to Office Depot and bought like the IKEA lawyer desk. I had to put it together with Allen wrenches. And so I sat there for 2 weeks, didn't have any clients, but I was in a building that had like five lawyers in it. And they would send me like people that either couldn't afford them or they didn't do it. Well, that ended up being a lot of my docket. Like, we don't have a lot of money, or some weird ass case nobody wants, right? And so, um, nothing motivates you like necessity. And, I had bills to pay. And so I started taking all kinds of stuff. My heart wasn't criminal, but, I just didn't get that many. And so, I started blogging in 2006 because I had a lot of free time and no one did it. It wasn't a thing. Back then, the big move, if you were like the big
Right.
baller law firm, you bought the back page of the phone book or the front page, right? And you were awesome. Like, and it was like, I remember the Kaufman phone book back then was 50 grand. And I'm like, what's that for? You know? And so, I mean, I can't have 50 grand for the phone book cover. And then I always thought, who hires a lawyer from the front of the phone book? But a lot of people do, apparently. I always feel the same way about billboards. I go, who's hiring this lawyer on this billboard? They all say the same thing. We're the meanest, toughest. We're the chainsaw axe. It's always a weapon or an animal, lion, whatever. Like who's just looking at that billboard going, that's my guy, right? Like that's silly. But I started blogging and I remember one of the older attorneys asked me about it. Um, and he was just incredulous. He goes, so you're telling me that you give away free legal advice on the internet? And I'm like, yeah. And I'll never forget this. He goes, that sounds like the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's
Not
so,
nearly as dumb as spending $50,000 on the back of the yellow pages.
well, and so I was on Blogger, like Blogspot or like whatever it was, like Google ended up buying them, but it ranked because nothing else existed. This is before the SEO companies, this is before Avo. Like lawyers are trying to get Yelp reviews, like we're like, a restaurant. That's what the thing to do. But the market changed at a time when I was doing what, the internet wanted and no one else was. So I got a lot of cases that way. It became hard to keep up though. I was writing 4 to 5 days a week, just reacting to stuff, explaining stuff. And that's like a few thousand posts. And I just kind of ran out of stuff to say after a while. But by then I had so many clients and the phone was ringing. So it wasn't as much a necessity. And so I was doing mostly criminal and family then. I really got to kind of just do two things. And I ended up sending my family cases to Scott Gray because I knew him and his wife really well. They're my friends. and they had an office in Forney, and they sent me their criminal cases, and we did it for like a year, and we thought there's going to be some economies of scale here. Let's like this is a good thing. We work together well. Let's do this. Make a run at it. Let's make a firm because Kaufman didn't really have many firms. They're all like maybe two people, but they were just kind of splitting the rent and sharing a and a paralegal basically. And we really wanted to grow something, and so that was in 2011, and now we're the largest firm in the county, and we're really proud of that. And so that's I'll leave it at that. That's a long answer to a short question.
It's a great origin story, and I love the fact that you were blogging before it was a thing, and that helped you grow. Um, you're up to how many attorneys? It looks like 11 on the website.
We have a couple that are like of counsel, but I would
Okay,
say full time who just like do us stuff is like eight.
and you
And
have
then
multiple locations.
yeah, we have an office we go to in Plano. We are between spaces in Rockwall. We had I mean, I won't say it. We had a disagreement over a lease with another attorney, and so we parted ways. But that's what this show's about. But we do, and but our main office is in Forney, and that's kind of well. Here's the thing: people don't go to offices much anymore after COVID.
Right.
Like nobody comes in, and so it's
Which,
always like trying to justify the cost of your lease space because unless you need it for staff or work, because you're not impressing the client with your really nice office anymore because they probably never see it. Like
well, and
criminal clients especially.
sometimes that irritates them that you have this really fancy space. But I digress.
Well, we've got a building that was made in 1896, and so it's like a historical city kind of well-known place, and so everybody knows it's what it is. It's called the Reagan House locally, but it's very interesting owning a very old building. I would say that it's nice. It's got some historicity to it. We feel a very big sense of obligation to this building, but at the same time, it does its best to make us cranky all the time, like not
Does it
working
have
as
an
a building.
elevator? Does it have an elevator?
No, it's 2 stories.
Well,
So
that's probably a good thing because a 100-plus-year-old building with an elevator, usually the elevator breaks quite a bit, and they don't make parts for those things anymore.
there you go.
Hey, so you're kind of a full service firm now. You do many different things,
Mhm.
one of which is PI work. So that's contingent. How do you bill for the non-contingent things? Criminal
All right.
defense, estate planning, etc.
I'll do a couple different areas. So criminal defense, most state lawyers are flat fee in Texas. I know a few who bill hourly, but most criminal clients don't want to get billed hourly. And um, you don't want to have to get into a collection situation where like you're about to go and take some plea bargain that's good for the client, but you billed them a bunch of hours and they haven't paid you, right? And so clients see hourly billing as kind of adversarial. There's a little bit of mistrust there. They're like, did you really take this long? They don't love it. It's not a great, thing in their eyes. They don't always see it as they want to pay for a thing to get done, right? They want to pay for a problem to be solved. And so family law is hourly. And I tell our family lawyers there's no wider gap between lawyer performance and client satisfaction than family law because what they're paying you for is like to feel safe, catharsis, so their kids are protected. And what we sell is motions and hearings, and they don't want any of that,
Right.
right? They want their kids and to see them and to get they want to be done and get out of the system. And so we do bill hourly for that, but everyone's saying the hourly family case is going to end, but no one can perfect the flat fee model because the cases can just go in too many different directions. Like a criminal case, it's like on a railroad track. It's going the same way, man. It's going like investigation, arrest, make bond, indictment, grand jury, discovery, pretrial. It's going that way. Or a civil case, you can be everything's going great, and all of a sudden you need a temporary emergency order hearing immediately, and then the case is blown up, and it's going to be a lot more expensive. And so I remember we went to a seminar, and this guy who did flat rate family law, like for each different part of the case, and he was trying to sell us on what a great deal it was. I don't know if he was selling a package or not, but he was like, I've got like 72 different contracts or something. I thought, Oh my God. Come on.
That's a lot of
So
different flat rates.
we haven't figured it out, but the clients want to pay for a thing to be done, and it would encourage efficiency. But at the same time, the lawyers are taking all the risk that it's going to blow up. And if there's a case that's going to blow up, it's a family law case. We do a lot of other things flat fee though, like we do wills and some probates flat fee, especially if it's not, too large of an estate, nobody's suing each other. And so there are areas where flat fees we think are better because they encourage us to be efficient and to get the thing done the client wants. But no one's solved family law. That's going to be the thing to figure out. So
I love the flat fee concept because the client knows what they're paying for what they want. You can have predictable revenue based on the number of matters that you have. My question to you is, do you still track your time on flat fee matters so that you can, not that you're going to bill on those hours, but you can judge whether or not the flat fee is fair to you?
um oh man, I'm not dodging a question. I'm chair of the criminal section. I don't know if probate tracks their time. I need to
No,
ask.
I'm in the criminal side.
Oh, the criminal side. The state cases we don't usually track time, and we even put in our contract like we're not keeping hours, so don't ask for it because lawyers hate entering time, even if
Oh
it's
yeah.
part of their compensation package. They hate it. They forget to do it. We try to buy a bunch of software to automate it. And if I tell them you're going to enter time for stuff that doesn't make you any money, it's just an extra bonus homework assignment, they would double hate it. So we don't track time, and it doesn't usually come up because the state bar allows flat fee criminal contracts. You just have to define like when the fee is earned. Like when I do this, I get this. When I do this, I get this. And so it's like a stair step kind of deal. But no, the answer in criminal is we do not track time. Now we have done some federal stuff in the past, especially post conviction. We used to do a lot of it, and we did track time on those. So
Well, I would encourage you to do that only to judge whether or not your flat fee is fair. But I realize attorneys hate tracking time, and you're not alone there. Accountants hate tracking time as well. Um, I want to talk about cash payments. Do a lot of your criminal folks pay in cash?
um, they're more likely to pay in cash than other kinds of clients, but it's less. I mean, checks are the one that's declined the most. When I started, it was like majority checks. And now, like, we get a check, we're like, what? Businesses will pay in checks. They want to track it and stuff. We see checks as a security risk. Like, they're just, in this day and age, you passing checks around. I just hate it. And so we do Clio, they kind of banned LawPay because LawPay, is owned by their competitor, right? So we had to switch to Clio payments, and it's been good so far, but they just get an email going, hey, your bill's due. How do you want to pay? And they can ACH it, right? Which is like, I don't even know if they charge for it or it's like 50 cents or whatever. Or you can do it by credit card and then they charge us, your merchant service rates. And so most people pay with that. So it's not a big part of who pays anymore, but it's usually, criminal people who don't, certain populations don't have access to banking or don't want to use, the banking system. And so they bring us piles of money. And so we just take it into the bank and there you go. But it was a lot more when I started. It's a lot less now.
Well, that's good. I mean, cash it's got all kinds of reporting issues. And I was talking to a firm administrator out of Oklahoma, and she was describing their practice. It was criminal and family law. That's all they did. And that they did get a substantial amount of cash payments. And I said, how do you account for that? Thinking that she would tell me, well, it goes into the trust account, then it goes into the general account. She said, oh, no, we just put it in the safe. And I said, what? She goes, yeah, we put it in the safe. And at the end of the year, that's how the two partners bonus themselves. I'm like, okay,
Oh
I'm done
dear.
talking to you. There's no more
E
relationship here.
E. I mean, I
So
never thought of that. That's a very unique way, and I'm sure they
don't think
reported.
about that. That gets you in the federal bad.
Oh, I'm sure they reported that. Come on, they put that on their taxes,
Oh
right?
yeah, I think it was Better Call Saul's office.
Yeah.
Um, how are you utilizing AI? You mentioned a time tracking thing. I
Oh
mean, there's
man.
Ajax out there, but what's the best AI that your firm is using right now?
So we use Google Workspace, right? So we're kind of Gemini native. Um, and when Gemini started, it super sucked. It was just not any good. But Google's done a good job of kind of just putting it into everything. And their first really good product was Google Notebook. And so um, the big like legal tech providers, your Westlaw, Lexis, they hadn't come out with AI anything yet. So right when Google Notebook came out, I took all the kind of because we have to take all these classes, right? And so I just have tons of like materials and materials and PDFs of this and that. And I called them professors, like the family law professor and all this stuff. And because you can talk to it naturally, you don't have to use Boolean search terms. It's a lot easier for most lawyers to go, okay, I've got a client and he didn't respond to this, and and it'll just tell you. And so since it was in Google Notebook, it couldn't hallucinate because it only knew what I told it. It couldn't go reach out to the internet and grab some nonsense off Reddit and throw it into my, you know, so that everyone liked that, especially the family section, because then that cut down on the junior lawyers asking the senior lawyers because most answers were in there. I mean, I'm pretty proud of my product, if you can't tell. And then Westlaw came out with Co-Counsel, which I don't know if you're familiar with they have a key site system, which is very specific and it's kind of the industry standard. And I'm like, all right, this is better than my deal. So we do use that now too. But Gemini is also very good at summarizing documents. And so if we get like buried with a bunch of documents on like a phone dump, right? Or something, we can put it in there. But I like taking criminal discovery and asking Gemini, like, tell me every contradiction between witnesses. Give me a timeline of events. And so it'll do it. It'll go, well, this person said this and this person said that. And I'm like, hmm. And so it's a really good place to start, because you can get a timeline going, which is easy. It makes it easy for, when you're watching the video when you're expecting the event to come up, right? Than when you're just reacting. And so the criminal section's really got a lot of value out of that. With the family section, we've got to organize discovery, which can be quite voluminous. And it's not always, how do I say this? Clients don't always want to turn over all their stuff. So we've got to make do. But you'll have like 500 pages of stuff, and you'll need to know what you have and what you don't have to respond to like your interrogatories or production or whatever. And so you can use it to organize that. And so like is good for that too. And I keep coming back to Notebook just because it can't hallucinate. It's stuck with your data sets. And so we made like a discovery robot that knows what family discovery is and what the questions mean. And that's been pretty useful. And so there's some pride of authorship. Like I built them, like these are so great. And Westlaw has some of these products. They're kind of like in beta mode and they're okay. But they'll just get better and stuff. But those are some really good use cases. I also like for things I have to do for marketing, I don't place a high value on. I will use Gemini. Like I need to Google my business post like once a week. And you know how those are. It's like 1,000 characters, how great you are. I'm like, ugh. And so I just go, right, because you're Google too. Because here's the thing. We used to have to go and like read the updates to Google's best practices and what they want and which backlinks are good, because used to be you get a blog network and they all link to each other. Google's no, that's not good anymore. You can't do that. Right? They kept changing the rules. So now it just has Gemini. Like, what am I supposed to do now? What do you want to like, put me up top of the maps package or in an AI answer or whatever. And let's go, oh, do this. I'm like, okay, super duper. So now I don't have to go chase down all this information because I do have a web host who has a CMS and they run my stuff for me, but I still want to know.
Right.
I want to know enough that if I get inspired to write about some topic, at least it's worth it, right? And so at first they would take AI written content. Now they really don't want AI written content. Man, they'll just change their mind too. Like I'm like, come on, Google, but they own it. And so that's another use case, but if you're just having AI pump out 1,000 pages of garbage, I mean, that's not going to get you anywhere because Google doesn't see that as original. You haven't added anything. You've just, taken what they've already told you that they could tell anybody. And so it is changing towards that. So those are some good use cases beyond just like legal research. So,
Well, and you talked about it. It's kind of shifting from SEO and Google to AI because people are going to chat or whatever
oh yeah,
AI tool they have and say, "Who's the best criminal
yeah,
defense attorney near me?" And you've got to be. You mentioned Reddit too, and the experts tell me that you got to post on Reddit. I'm like, I don't even understand Reddit. It's such a
I
rabbit hole.
know. Well, and but I mean, that's something because it's like this huge database of human comments, right? And
Right,
so
but who knows
it's
what's
hot.
real and what's the bot, and and what's
Well,
some crazy
people,
guy in his mother's basement.
I can tell you right now, people are out there willing to sell you the let me talk about your business all the time bot. And it's the new thing to win. And now you'll be reading,
Uh,
like I'm on Reddit, and I'll be reading about some current news event. And it goes, hey, you know who's a really good chiropractor in Chicago? And you're like, what? What? You know, they just want the link because it has value. And
Next time I'm
so
up there, I'll see that person.
so Google generally doesn't like spammy stuff like that. I'm sure they'll cut back, but where else are they going to go? You know, they don't have access to Facebook comments, I
Yeah,
guess. I guess Facebook will let them have it. But where do they go for human conversation that's written down, right? Discord's kind of you got to get invited. And so Reddit's the thing, and they make their money licensing their content. And I have a theory, you know, that like pre 2022, 2021 message boards and stuff, if you still have those databases, are even worth money because you have all this human writing like humans, right? And we don't have that anymore. People just AI bought everything. And I read something horrifying. It was the percentage of the internet that is bots talking to bots, and it was a lot. It was like a third or 40%. And so, what I've seen, you know, in my social medias is people just talk less, they post less. You know, it's not like 2016 where everyone's arguing in Facebook comments. No one's posting a lot of stuff, you know, because I don't know. I guess opinions have changed about it, and we're all wary that it's all being harvested and used, right? And so I guess we don't
yeah.
like that. But if something's free, like Instagram, you're the product. So Facebook, you're the product. Reddit, you're the product. So,
And if you talk about cowboy boots, all of a sudden you have cowboy boots ads in your
oh
feed.
yeah, oh yeah.
So, hey, before we start to wrap up, I want to go back to Texas Tech, and I'm a Chiefs fan. Been before Patrick Mahomes got there, but when we were talking about this in the pre-show, you brought up Mike Leach, who,
Hmm.
wow, what a character he was. I mean, and he brought relevance back to Texas Tech, even though it's part of the Big 12. Give me a good Mike Leach story or Patrick Mahomes.
Well, so I went to UTA, UT Arlington undergrad. They didn't have a football team, right? It's just commuter school. So I get to Tech and I'm like, oh, this is cool. You know, my sister went to OU, right? So I'm kind of familiar with the Big 12. And all these coordinators are coming out of OU. And so they were always running like, you know, this kind of wider open offense. Not exactly the Texas Tech insanity spread where it's just everybody's out wide. But I think it was the bowl game against Minnesota. We were down so much. We were just getting stomped. And I just had this. I would always tell somebody I was watching with, I was like, we got it. We're going to come back and win. Oh, gosh, I want to look it up. I want to look up the Minnesota score. But there was just this feeling that as long as we had a decent quarterback, and we had Cliff Kingsbury when I was there, then they had BJ, and they always had guys who could throw it, man. But you were always in it, and the defenses were just so fluxumed with, you know, there's so many guys running all these patterns, we can't cover them. And then if they just run like a draw play, like then what do we do? And it was great watching that because I had friends who went, a lot who went to A&M, right? And they were just always, you know, yapping about how great A&M is and their Aggie traditions and this and that. And man, when I was there, we just beat the pants off of them. And so I was so cool, you know, because I had bragging rights the whole time. And I was there, you know, when Bobby Knight showed up too. And I'm like,
Oh,
oh my
wow.
gosh. And the law school was the like VIP parking lot for the basketball stadium. It was right next to us. And so I'd go park at the law school like I was going to study and just walk into have my student card, go, I'm here to see the Texas Red Raiders and Mike Leach. So it was great, man. I had a lot of fun. I really added because I mean I wasn't used to it. You know, like Lubbock is like a lot of college towns where the school is the economy is the city. UT Arlington could like disappear, and Arlington, Texas would be just fine. It's got the Cowboys and the Rangers and the World Cup, you know. So it's just a different vibe. But let me see. This is a 2006 Insight Bowl. Texas Tech is down 38-7. It scores
Wow.
it wins 44-41. And I was like, that's perfectly encapsulates, because you know sometimes you feel like you're always just going to lose. With Tech, you're like, we can win any time we can win. It just doesn't matter because we have
Well,
the
that's
most
how it's been for the
insane
last several years
offensive.
in Kansas City. It's, you know, with Mahomes there, but you were at Tech when Leach and Knight were there. Two great characters. That's a
Yep.
phenomenal group. Hey, Robert, before we wrap up, what's the best way for folks to get a hold of you and learn about you and your law firm, Guest and Gray?
Oh, well, it's our guestandgray.com. Guest like a visitor, Guest, and is spelled out A-N-D. Gray with an A, Gray. We have some videos up, you know, they're mostly of me, you know, and so but we talk about a lot of different topics, and we try to get their most common questions answered, you know, because people are scared of the legal process and they don't always want to talk to a lawyer. But I want them to have good information, because in a criminal case, if you don't have an attorney, you can make some mistakes early on that we can't fix. And so I just try to put as much as that out there so that my clients can be safe when dealing like with an investigation or law enforcement. But that's how to find us, man. If it's around Dallas, we probably do it. So give us a holler. Let us fix it.
Well, Robert, thank you so much for joining us. And thank all of you and our listeners for tuning in to Judicial Dollars and Cents, where the business of law meets the practice of law. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please like, follow, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Better yet, share this episode with another law firm leader who could benefit from our discussion. Until next time, I'm John Scott with Anders Virtual Services, CFO Law Service. Anders Virtual CFO Law Services for law firms. Oh my God, it's Friday. I can't wait for the weekend. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us on Judicial Dollars and Cents, presented by Anders Virtual CFO Services. If you found value in today's conversation, be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcast. To learn more about how Anders helps law firms strengthen their financial foundations and drive growth, visit anderscpa.com. Until next time, keep making smart decisions that make perfect sense.